Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, and let's have a look at this media release and backlash with regards to university fees. I think this will be an entertaining one. So, putting students' interest first, and this was released on the 13th of August. The Morrison government is taking action to protect students and taxpayers from the accumulation of large help debts that do not provide benefits to the student and are unlikely to be repaid. Now, if we jump over to this website, we'll just have a quick look at, the HELP program, or the Higher Education Loan Program. The Australian government provides financial assistance to students through their Higher Education Loan Program, which removes upfront cost barriers to tertiary education by providing income contingent loans. I'm just going to have a shot of coffee. HELP. Australian citizens, permanent humanitarian visa holders, and New Zealand special category visa holders who meet the long-term residency requirements enroll in a Commonwealth-supported place can access a HELP loan to pay their student contribution amount, providing they meet all of the eligibility criteria. Then you've got fee help. I'm not familiar with that one is. What's that one for? Similar thing. You've got OS help and SA help. So you've got different ways. Essentially, it's government student loans. Now, I've got one. I've got a HEX debt that I think merged into a HELP debt for my architecture degree. And I looked at paying it off. Because, if you do the snowball technique, you pay off the smaller debts first. First, you hit the credit card, the smallest one, then the second one. Well, actually, I cheated. I consolidated everything in the home loan and just threw it all at that. But you know the idea, paying one debt after another. So I looked at it the other day because I'm chucking everything off the mortgage, and I thought, maybe I should just get rid of this help debt. But I looked at the cost per year for me to have it, and we're not talking much. You're talking, the interest rate is below 2%, so it's not very harsh. Let me know in the comments, everyone, if you have a help debt or a HEX debt. Have you paid it off before your mortgage, or are you doing what I'm doing and just doing it the logical way, but not the debt snowball way? So, that's what it is. It has advantages. It allows more people to get into university. Back in the Whitlam days, people used to get completely free education. He made university education free. It made absolutely no difference to the type of people that were going to university. Absolutely none. It was all the same people going. Demographically speaking, the same children and the same people. It hadn't changed. Just all the politicians and, upper middle class types were getting free education. And you want to keep the government out of education as much as you can with regards to fees. Because they'll put limits on it, they'll create all these other situations, and you'll get the mess over in America. Their student loans are so high, it is insane. And that's because the government guarantees them. You can't even bankrupt out of them. I don't know if you can bankrupt out of a HELP or HEX debt, but we're not talking much. You don't actually have to make payments for your HELP debt until you reach a certain tax threshold. So usually it's the end of the year. If you've gone over so much, you got to pay a few thousand off it. So that's what we have here in Australia. I think it works quite well. But, it would be interesting to see if there's, greater freedom in the tertiary education market. If the universities had to compete with other options, because they've got the monopoly on issuing degrees. And even architecture degrees, other people trying to start up better quality providers really got hammered on. But nonetheless, let's have a look at this. So they want to protect students and taxpayers from people accumulating huge help debts that they're never going to pay back. And you can picture already what the response is going to be from the failing students. So, the Job Ready Graduates legislation contains measures to strengthen and extend student protection and provider integrity by doing the following. Requiring that universities ensure that all students are academically suitable for their course of enrollment, and that students are engaged with the course and maintaining a reasonable completion rate. I've got a morning cough today. Now, this is an interesting one, because I've got a story I'm going to share. We're going to go on story time a few times with this one. Now, architecture is a pretty long course. It's 2 degrees. Back when I did it, it was 2 bachelors, a Bachelor of Built Environment, you can see there, and a Bachelor of Architectural Studies. No, yeah, Bachelor of Built Environment, majoring in Architectural Studies, and then a Bachelor of Architecture. So I did 2 degrees. I did it flexible full-time. That was, we'd do 3 subjects a semester, and you'd work. And that work that you do had to meet certain requirements of what you'd be doing in university. So you'd have a logbook to fill out and all this paperwork. But it was fantastic. It means you got to work in an office 4 days a week, and you'd earn money. You could earn money so you could live. You wouldn't earn much, but it was a real job, and it was building skills. And it broke you, so you knew what the profession was like. Now, I was doing a bit of tutoring. I did it for quite some time. I was asked to support... there's a unit at QUT that provides additional support to Aboriginal and Indigenous students. Now, I think they were getting like 1 or 2 hours per subject, additional one-on-one tutoring. Now, there was this one young guy that I provided support to. They hired me, and I was meant to help him with this subject. So they would be talking about like a design project. And I'd say, well, why don't you, the problem was he expected me to do the work for him. I said, no, mate, that's not how I work here. I'll help you and guide you, and we work together. And the guy, he kept failing. He failed again and again and again and again and again. And they were coming in and talking to me. They were looking at his grades. And because I was just doing it for 1 semester. I'd only been with him for a few weeks. I was giving him advice for this subject. And they're saying, what can we do to help him get through? What can we do to help him get through? And this is when I was quite, shall we say, naive. I thought when leftist academics ask you for your opinion, they want your opinion. And I said, well, his father's a builder. He should quit university because he's obviously not suited to it. He doesn't have the capacity to it, or he's not interested because he keeps failing. And he should go to a trade. He'll earn more money, and he'll probably be happier. How do you think that went over? I'll let you know, and I'll let you say in the comments how you think that went over. I'm not involved with that unit anymore. So yes. But then another thing that I was involved with a few years later, or probably about a year later. And this was a little initiative, because we were all getting frustrated at university. Because as an architecture student, you're expected to use all these different tools and softwares, like Photoshop to do graphics, or drafting packages to do complex building modeling, and even Excel and Access and things like that to actually prepare the presentations that you have to do. Because in architecture, you have to do a panel presentation, stand up, and ramble on, hence why I've developed these skills at rambling at YouTube. Maybe I ramble too much. Nevertheless. And then you'd have a row of professionals in front of you, and they would pull your design apart, looking for every mistake that they could find. And it could be quite frustrating and really get you angry, particularly if you haven't slept for a week to get it together, to get it finished. Or you could do what Rachel did. She had one where her tutor hated her, and she played off the audience so he couldn't fail her. So you got to be strategic with how you do it. They loved it. He didn't. So here's the thing. We started up a program, our own little initiative. What did I call it? Peer-to-peer. That's it, peer-to-peer. Now, it's student-led education. What we did is we offered... we took over the computer labs on the weekend. We'd go into the university on the weekend, and we charged people $10 for 1 hour lesson in the bare basics of different programs. So we did 1 hour on Photoshop, 1 hour on Rivet, 1 hour on ArchiCAD, 1 hour on AutoCAD, 1 hour on CorelDRAW. And I'd got a whole group of people to come and run these courses for free. So students that would want to help out, usually upper students that were like me, that were frustrated that we weren't taught these fundamental things and you were expected to do it. So, we ran that for a year, I think, first year, and we'd make good money. We'd have big wads of cash. We'd go out afterwards to celebrate with all the tutors. We'd have pizza and a few beers, and it was great. It was great. This young guy started coming to these things. He got more from where he had to pay his money than the whole student-run initiative. The university initiative of extra support, which I thought was quite good. Then what we ended up doing, we ended up running a end-of-year exhibition. We funded it all ourselves. We told the university, no, we don't need you. We'll just use the space. We don't need any of the lecturer input, and we'll organize it. We'll run a competition. We had a big party. We had a bar. I remember filling up my little smart car with $1,000 worth of booze. And here's one of the funny things: this is back. Well, they've changed all the rules now, so you couldn't get away with what we were doing. You know, we had a DJ, we had a bar set up in one of the rooms, and we were just drinking and partying, and every room set up their own theme every year. And it was great fun. It really was. And I remember two things that were quite funny. Some of the international students had never opened a bottle of champagne before, and Rachel was getting frustrated behind the bar, going, come on, faster, faster. And we had so much booze left over, I gave like a whole carton of beer to the DJ as an extra thank you. And I didn't realize he was a recovering alcoholic until afterwards, which was probably a mistake. So I had quite a good time at university, I can tell you that. But, I mean, that shows you how a bunch of students, we could provide an additional service, how students were loving it. People really loved it. I actually won a national award for setting that up. Student-directed peer-to-peer learning. And it allowed us to have a fantastic event, because the exhibitions at QUT up until then had been pretty boring, and it's often the academics doing it. And now, the last time I went, it was very, very PC and very the university getting involved. Where for us, it was a student party. We'd been studying for 6-7 years. We didn't care anymore. We just needed to let our hair down and get out. So, anyway, story time. But you can see how simply a few $10 sessions could provide really good support for students. Really good support. And they paid for it themselves. So, ensuring that a student's HECS help debts can be forgiven if their progress has been affected by special circumstances. Well, here's another thing. The HECS help debt, you're paying for a course, a 6-week course, or, I forget how long it was, 10 weeks of lectures. You're paying thousands of bucks. You know, 900 to over 1,000 now, depending on how much it is. We were providing the same quality, particularly for the software education, for like $10 a pop. $10 a pop. And often in these subjects, these HECS subjects you're paying for, the lecturers would guide you to free online resources. Like there'd be free YouTube courses when I was teaching different modeling packages software. You'll see I've got another YouTube website called Heise Education. And that started from me tutoring classes of interior designers that didn't know how to use a computer. They were asking so many stupid questions over and over again that I said, you know what, I'm just going to go home and record these and put them up there so you guys can refer to them. And that was probably my first YouTube channel I ever made. I got up to 2,000 views. 2,000 subscribers, which wasn't bad back in the day. But now in that education tutorial sector, you've got to be so much more polished than you are now. And it's very competitive. So let's get back to this. So you can forgive student debts. Students with low completion or progression rates will no longer be able to access a Commonwealth-supported place. So low completion or progression rates. So what do you think about that? If they're not finishing the subjects, they're enrolling it, maybe they want to keep their government support, youth allowance or AusStudy, their student university discounts. So they'll no longer be able to access Commonwealth-supported places, HECS help or fee help. A low completion rate will be a student who has failed more than 50% of 8 or more units in a bachelor course. So 50%. If a student can demonstrate circumstances have adversely affected their academic performance, for example, illness or bereavement, their education provider can allow for consideration of these impacts. If a student transfers to another course, the low completion rate will not be carried with them. So that seems completely reasonable. If you're failing 50% of your subjects, you're not suited to that course. You're not there. You're not in the right headspace. You need to either quit and sort your shit out, sort yourself out, because university can be quite high stress. It can be a high stress environment, particularly if you're working full time while you're doing it, which is what we were doing. But if you've got other issues, 50%, that is a huge amount of failure. And don't think I just sailed through university, guys. Not at all. My GPA climbed up a bloody hard hill, a hill of worry, like they say in the market. You know, my grades got better as I was at university. I had some close calls. I had some passes where I just scraped in because life happens. But I didn't fail 50% of my bloody subjects. I mean, come on. This is ludicrous. How can anyone think someone who fails 50% of their units in a bachelor course, or 8 or more, how can you think that they're worth putting money to? Because remember, this is taxpayer money lent to these students at insanely low interest rates under the expectation that they will have the capacity to pay it back in the future. You want to invest in the education of people so that they can, well, hopefully lead to a more complex and advanced civilization and a better quality of life for everyone. That's the point of this. Education improves people's quality of lives. I think there's now opportunities to get education much more cheaper than the universities are providing. We just need to remove their monopoly on issuing of qualifications. But that's another topic. I think this is completely reasonable. It doesn't follow you around. Your failure, your stain, your academic sin doesn't follow you if you change courses. So I started doing accounting and economics at UQ. And then I was so happy when I just, I don't know why I didn't want to do architecture straight away, because my father was a building designer and a builder. I used to draw on drafting machines as a kid. I loved it. It wasn't until I discussed a potential for an extension and went through some plans with some work colleagues at Woolies I was working at the time that I realized, wait, why am I doing accounting and economics? I mean, come on, it's so boring. So my dreadful performance in that degree didn't transfer over, which still actually wasn't too bad now that I think about it. It wasn't failing 50% of the subjects. Anyway. So, I mean, let me know in the comments. Do you think that's fair and reasonable? Minister for Education, Dan Tehan, said the changes would ensure the sector was focused on assessing whether a student was academically suited to their course on an ongoing basis, not just the point of enrollment. The measures will ensure students can't take on a study load they won't complete, leaving them without a qualification but a large debt, he said. A lack of transparency of a student's enrollment has allowed some non-genuine students to enroll and re-enroll at multiple providers at the same time. We have found cases where students with the highest level of debt have been continuously enrolled at multiple providers at the same time, resulting in debts ranging from $220,000 to up to $660,000. Bloody hell! How can you get $660,000 on HEX? That is insane. How stupid are you? With a very low pass rate. That is insane. That can't make sense. The subjects aren't that expensive. You're talking, what, at worst $2,000 a pop? Maybe 3? I'd have to look at what it is now. What's my HEX debt? What, 20 and 30 grand, somewhere there? A bit more? Wow. On average, these students have passed just 1 in every 5 subjects they've attempted. Yeah, they're not suited to university. Why the hell would you... 600 grand! See, this is the thing. This is the thing. Universities don't care. Okay? They'll tell you they care. They'll put all these student engagement rubbish. They don't care. They just want the money. You're just a seat in a place. You look at the quality of education that's been provided, it's going down at the university sector. In architecture, we noticed it. We noticed it from when we started in our course. We would get one-on-one time with our tutor at least 15 minutes once a week. That would give you an opportunity to go through your work. You could discuss it with them. Fantastic. You could build up a relationship with your tutor, get some advice, go back and forward. Then that all of a sudden, they started having workshops where there were half the number of tutors, and you'd have to, this is when I was tutoring, you'd have to wander around to help a whole bunch of students, so you can barely even remember half of them. It's only the weird characters that stick with you. And then you get students get disengaged, they don't turn up. So, I mean, that's the thing. So the quality of what they're providing is going down. But then they're hiring more support staff, and they're building prettier buildings. Vanity projects for deans, I'm sure. Wow. We passed legislation in 2018 that placed a limit on help borrowing, and the job-ready graduates legislation will help address the management of student progress. Now, there's one question one issue I have with this. What the universities could do is just pass more people through. It's very difficult to fail people at universities. That's what I found. Particularly, you have international students that are paying a fortune. They expect to get through no matter what. But if they don't do the work, if they don't have the skills, if they can't communicate their ideas, it's really gut-wrenching. You help them through, but sometimes you can't let it through because it damages everyone else's work. I know a Kiwi who got through at the end because she'd taken so long, the poor girl, because of health issues, and the university just didn't care. I know another lady who made a ruckus, threatened to sue the university over what they were teaching, and they just let it through. They just let it through. So that's when I realized there's very little chutzpah behind these institutions in some regards. So let's have a look at what the National Union of Students released. This morning, Federal Education Minister Dan Tehan announced further changes within the Job Ready Graduates package announced in June, the same package that will see the fees for degrees skyrocket and funding for courses drop. Well, no. Okay. Some fees are going to go down significantly. Useful degrees. The fees for useful degrees are going to drop. The fees for other degrees, which perhaps there's an oversupply of people gravitating towards or which don't have the use, are going to go higher. That's the thing. The alternative could be to completely remove government involvement in all and just let the universities compete. I can't see them being brave enough for that. NUS is appalled at today's announcement that will see students lose access to the HELP and HEX scheme if they're deemed to have made unsatisfactory progress on their degrees. 50% failure in 8 subjects. That means you shouldn't be a bloody university, you dumb idiots. Okay? It's that simple. Come on. 50%. It's not satisfactory. What? I know this is the union of bloody students. I was pissed off that we had to join. You had to be part of the guild at university, or they wouldn't give you your grades. If you didn't pay, this is back when I was at UQ. If you didn't pay your stupid uni guild fees or service fees or whatever it is, so some fat bloody bastard can go down and hold up a protest sign that no one gave a shit about except the losers in the bloody union or pottering around there pretending politics. Where the rest of us, we had jobs. So you can see I was working 4 days a week, running projects, coming to uni, and I was so pissed off that I had to cough up $300 for absolutely bullshit. Bugger all. For stuff like this. So they can put media releases out and build their little political careers. So I was so happy when they removed that requirement. Because they would hold your degrees over your head. They would use the power of the university to stop you getting your degrees if you didn't pay them their money. Insane. Utterly insane. NUS rejects the assertion from Minister Tehan that this package is taking action to protect students and taxpayers. An overwhelming majority of domestic students rely entirely on HEX systems to study. They're not getting rid of that. If you fail 50% of your first 8 subjects you're doing there, you're not suited to the course. Okay? Come on. Seriously. This isn't draconian. They're being very generous. They've got clauses in there for you to get out. If you fail this much, you shouldn't do it. If you fail 1 or 2 subjects repeatedly, you should really have a hard sit down and think, is this for me? Am I at the right point in my life to do this? Maybe you should consider something else. University isn't for everyone. It isn't for everyone. I've realized years later I could have become an architect without even going to university. There's other paths to do it that you don't find out about until you got a huge not a huge, but a HEX around your neck. To take this away from students will take away their access to a degree and future opportunities. It is a punishment for students who the government unfairly deems as lazy and ill-equipped to access education without proper consideration of their experience or right to study the degree. Maybe they are unfit. Maybe they are lazy. Maybe they are ill-equipped. Maybe they don't have the intelligence level to handle a university education. Here's the thing, unionists, we're not all the same. Some people are better at some things than others. Even when you're smart and you get to university, you meet a whole lot of people that are smarter than you. That's life. And then you realize they're all leftist nutbags, and you think, wait a minute, they aren't actually that smart, are they? While the government has said the package will include leeway for universities to waiver this punishment in illness or bereavement, in the midst of a recession that will impact young people hardest, this package fails to account for the reasons why students don't succeed at university. Here we go. Limited access to study, financial instability, education quality, disability, and ongoing crisis of mental health in the student body are just some of the impediments to student success. Then reduce your study load if you can't afford it. Here we go. Let's go through each one of these. Limited access to study. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? You don't have time to study? Then find time. Cut out other things. Make the time. What I did every morning when I was studying, particularly for my registration exam, I'd get up at 5 o'clock and do my study every morning before I worked. With my YouTube channel, I'm up at 5:30 every morning recording. Financial instability. Well, get a job. Get a job. Reduce your course load and get a job. Do a part-time job while you study. If you can't do it, cut costs elsewhere. Find a way to do it. It's life. Education quality. Yep. Yeah, it's that I agree. Education quality has gone down. So, you can bitch and moan at others for not teaching you enough, or you can find your own opportunities. Or maybe set up a program where you do the job at the university like I did. But maybe these people probably wouldn't think like that. They wouldn't see it as an opportunity to create something where you can generate revenue to create more things. Disability. Well, the university provides support for disabled people. They provide people to take notes. I've seen it there. I don't think that's going to be something that'll kick people out. That would be a consideration. That will be a consideration. That has already been mentioned in this union thing. The ongoing crisis of mental health in the student body. Now, they have capacity. They've got counselors there at university, and there's some people. I remember there's a little crazy blonde girl back in my first year. She was notorious for going there and getting, I'm stressed, so getting out of her subjects. There are a few actually, and they were all blonde. Funny that. Not that I've got anything against blondes. I'm actually a blonde, guys. Well, I was. So, mental health in the student body are just some of the impediments. So, none of these things seem like issues. These are issues that are often unreported and receive inadequate support from tertiary institutions or the government. Students will have the future of their study taken away from them unless they prove to the university or government institutions that systematically fail to support young people that they are struggling. Toughen up. Toughen up. Maybe you're not ready for uni. It's going to be harsh. It is. It's tough to go through. Remember, you're talking to someone who did a full-time load while working full-time. Because, we worked 4 days a week, but you put extra time in, guys. This is architecture. Not some, bloody Macca's job. You're running jobs. You had responsibility. Now they've gotten rid of that, actually. They've removed that from QT. It was one of their greatest points of difference. Completely gone. So they can get more international students. Make more money. The government is pushing this package as a way to promote and incentivize success and protect students. But a plan to force students into a lifetime of debt and punish those who struggle. No, you're not forcing them into a lifetime of debt. What? The job-ready graduate package is promoting a pay-for-pay higher education sector that will put extreme pressure on students to succeed at university. You meant to have extreme pressure to succeed at university. You want to get a high bloody degree. Don't you want to get a good quality of honours? For me, it was, when I did the sums, because I did both my degrees at QUT. So first one, my GPA wasn't high enough to get honours. Second one, I started getting HDs and Ds, high distinctions and distinctions. I'm really pulling my GPA up. And I think, could I get... and I couldn't hit first class. I couldn't. So I got second class A. But you work bloody hard for that. And then after a while you realise, I'm not going to make the sums because my GPA doesn't reset. It'll all be good. Your grades take a big hit in the last subject often. You just say, nah, I'm done. But yeah, no, you are meant to there is meant to be extreme pressure. What the hell do people expect here? Is this one of these? See, this is the thing. My experience is completely biased. When I went through university, I did a year of accounting and economics. That wasn't for me, so I left that. And I failed subjects there. I think I was on academic probation. I failed one subject twice. Okay, so I'm probably one of the people here that would be cut off from the hex. Would I? No, not quite. I changed course. It wouldn't follow me over. I changed course. So I took a year off, sorted myself out, and did architecture. Did much better. Had that pressure. Finding what you need. Now my advice would be to people to take a year off before you leave high school to kind of figure out what you want to do. Maybe spend a year doing a real shit job and realizing that's where you're going to end up. I was stacking shelves at Woolies thinking, do I want to do this for my whole life? No, I didn't. Although it was quite relaxing. And some guys going, oh, this is so easy. There's no stress here. You just deal with stupid people. Pressure is expected. And we've got organizations like this concerned about pressure. What does that tell you? So it is an agenda to incentivize success through fear of punishment, which will only harm the well-being and success of our students. Success through fear of punishment. If you fail that many subjects, you're not university material. Well, you need to sort yourself out. That's part of life. That's part of growing up, guys. Often, getting kicked out of something or realizing getting a slap in the face, failing, is a wake-up call. Means you need to redirect. That was for me. But if you can just plod along again and again. See, this is the thing. What idiot? Here's the question I put to you. What idiot would fail like 50% of their bloody subjects and then keep doing that course? Wouldn't you think, okay, I'm obviously not interested in this. Something's going on. I got to sort myself out. Who would keep going? That's when you go, nah, I'm stepping back and looking for something else. You tell me in the comments, guys. You tell me. And how long? Buddy, I've gone on for 30 minutes. This shit. Sorry. Shouldn't swear. So, you can see how this got me a bit riled up, everyone. I think there's nothing wrong with what they're proposing. Here, cutting the dead wood. Not at all. I think the universities will just push people through. They'll make it harder to even fail people. It's bloody hard. Even when you fail someone, they get to resubmit. It's hard to fail a subject. At least in architecture. In other things, they get make-up exams as well. They don't want to fail you. They want to support you and get you through. But, maybe a bit of fear is good for people. When did having fear of failure become a bad thing? Maybe there's a reason why I'm not tutoring anymore. I made a few people cry. My strategy, I saw myself as a facilitator, not as a teacher, and that we'd all work together in what we were doing. And I'd get everyone to pin up their work, and we'd all have a mock crit every time, where the other students would have to I'd encourage everyone to give feedback. Always start with something good. The good, bad, and the ugly. Start with something good. Start with something bad. Then finish with something really bad. You want to get, you want to encourage people where they can, which is fair. Everyone has done something where they good or put a good effort in. Then where they can improve, and then ugly get in. That was usually where I'd set them a challenging task to do. Like some person did a little sketch or an idea, and I say, okay, do 100 of those. Don't worry. They can look like crap. I don't care. I just want you to do 100 of them to think of an idea, to not be too precious about it. Test it 100 times. Get a piece of the trace. It doesn't need to be pretty. I don't care. Leave that to the artists. I want 100 concepts put on that wall next time, and they'd push through and they get 50, and that'd be bloody good. So I'd get some really great feedback. I still go to things today, and students remember me. Even the ones I made cry. Others hated me, but, it's no different to YouTube, is it? Anyway, guys, let me know what your take is on this. Are you on the unionist side? We need to protect these poor snowflake university students from fear of punishment. Or do you think if you're failing 50% of your subjects, you're dead wood that needs to be cut? Maybe you need a wake-up call. See, I don't understand how you would get to this point and continue with that degree. That's what I don't get. Then you've got probably external pressures. You've probably got parents putting pressure on you to do it. I remember we had a lot of international students that were here. They felt really pressured to do architecture. They didn't want to do it. But it was the pressure from their parents. One of them quit, ended up becoming a pastry chef. And she did fantastic. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.